Afternoon guys, been having a little play with this is a Lidl work zone bench grinder. Now, inside here I've had to re-drill the holes so I can make this vertical. So we've now got that vertical. The little guide that you get is rubbish. I've now put a flat bed of that's the little guide there. I've welded it on. So I've welded a bit of plate on there, make it bigger, and then I've put some like little stiffener things on the plate. So that's that side of it now. Because this is how the Bushcraft blacksmith done it. I need to cut through there and then cut this away here, so I've got a nice round radius so I can sand on. But at the moment I'm working on this. Right. So this is the jig. This is how these jigs work. Before I actually show you the knife. If I look side on, there you go. If you tip that up like that, see, that gives you the angle of the knife. So if you want more angle, you just pack more washers behind it and that'll tip. More angle, and then that's like minimum angle there. And then you clamp your knife to there and run it through the grinder. Right guys, let's start off with this. This is a Gerber Kukri that's got a big chunk out of it. When we went to Church Farm, we decided to give it a good test, and it kind of failed. Biggest reason it failed is because it's so thin. It's ridiculously thin. For anything that's kind of like for macheting or hacking anything, it's too thin. The grind's too steep. Yeah, cack really. But it's cheap. It was only 25 quid, I think, from Springfield's. And it's not a full tang, which is a disadvantage, I would say. It's just not enough weight behind it. Anyway, so I have, if you've been looking on Instagram, you'll see these. This is a lump of 6mm stainless steel that I've plasma cut out, which is obviously the same shape as that, so I can use the handle. I did do 3 of these, this shape, just so I can sort of perfect it a bit. So I've ended up with, this one's been sort of polished up a bit. So I've retained the original Gerber handle and drilled the holes through so the loveless bolts go in. Obviously it's still got to grind the big problem with the plasma cutter is it tends to take big notches out. I'll show you the other ones, they're a bit of a mess. I picked this one because it's one of the better ones. It's like little pittings like that are a nightmare to get out. Right. Yeah, like all of that edge there, you've got to grind back about 1 mil, which takes forever. Not so bad on this side because half of that blade's going to be ground away anyway. Right, anyway, something else I've been thinking of for ages and ages and ages is a Kukri, but double-handed, so you can put more weight behind it. So I've also cut out these ones. So you've got a good double-handed grip. I've actually copied this grip from a Lord of the Rings elven sword. So you've got a good purchase on it. It's huge, it weighs a ton, but at the end of the day, that's exactly what it's for. Anyway, this one here, the plasma cutter slipped. I'll take a big chunk out of it because I was rushing. I can grind that down, but it's kind of at a narrow point. So if I balls up the up, because I did cut 2 of these, if I completely balls it up, there's another little nick out of the handle somewhere as well, about here. There's my finger there. And it's probably the first one I cut, and it's just a bit wobbly. But I was rushing to do them. Anyway, here's the better one of the 2. Now I'll go back. So I've polished off all the, just sanded off the scale on it, like that, and I've ground most of the little divots out. And then I've started the grinder because I was just setting up the grinder. I started that grind. I need to get me some of these dinks out of this. Sorry, this is the blade edge. Get the dinks out, and then I can mark my bearing line. Now all you got to do is get a vernier, set of calipers, measure how thick the steel is, and this is just under 6mm. It's like 5.9. So you do the calipers on there, then you divide whatever the thickness is, and you put a scratch, a bearing line right down the middle there. You can also use like a 6mm drill bit, lay it on its side. Have I got a drill bit laying around? I mean, if you've got a nice flat surface, you can get the 6mm drill bit, and then you scratch a line with a whatever thickness the steel is, the same thickness drill bit. That will give you a centre bearing line. So there you go. That's as far as I've got today. Because it's so hard and it's taking ages, and I've only got a really crappy grinder. So, and also I want to take my time on this because it's going to be awesome when it's done. But the handle's going to go from here. Where are we? From here all the way down, and then this end bit I'm going to drill and have a lanyard on it. It should be pretty good when it's done. And I think the grind's going to have to come down to about here. But it's going to be a really high grind as well, and I'm probably going to do micro bevel on it. It's fairly consistent, it's not too bad. A lot of it is just figuring out my jig. And with the bed I'm using, a couple of little mods. Oh, I've clamped a bit of rubber matting underneath there to take out some of the vibration, and I've put a lump of wood on top of here just to take, because where the jig was bouncing on it, it was driving me nuts, just the constant ding 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 ding. So yeah, there's another view of the jig. So that's the angle I'm going for, which I haven't got a clue what it is, but it seems about right. What I'm going to do that grind, and then when I get about 1 mil from the centre, I'm going to ramp it up a bit and put a micro bevel on, which will probably be something like that, quite a steep micro bevel, because it's got to take some real bad abuse. I'm not going to go for razor sharp. It's going to be like an axe edge, something that can take some abuse and be quick and easy to sharpen again. Yeah, there you go, double-handed grip. At the moment, the balance is still at the front. It's still one of the tip forwards, it's about there. But once I've ground more off the blade, and once I've drilled some holes in here, we should. So I want it slightly front heavy, but I can always add a brass ball or something on the end to tip it back down. Don't know. I'll see how it works really, and then I can always change the handles. But it's a bit of a beastie. It's sort of the only reason I'm making a Kukri instead of anything else. Yeah, so I've got a few here to play with. The only reason I'm doing a Kukri is because my granddad was in Burma, and he always raved about Kukris, and he owned loads of Kukris. But when he died, I didn't end up with any of them, which was a bit of a shame. So I'm decided, I'm just making one sort of to honour him, really, and because he rated them so much. Pick that up and there's just nothing there. It's horrible. But for ages I've been trying to find spring steel off of like a set of leaf springs. But then I realised I don't really get on with carbon steel, because carbon steel was a pain in the arse. This is the knife I made at the with 0 pence in the bushcraft blacksmith over at Billericay. This is the sheath I made for it as well. Now, when I made this sheath, it's nice and got 5 levers of, I think it's about 5mm thick. I've done that there, and all I've done is I rubbed it with soap around the edges to try and polish it up a bit, and then the colour on the leather is just brown shoe polish. That's all I've done. But where I wet moulded this part here in the morning, because I thought I'd leave it in there when I took my knife out, that was rusty as hell. So so the Damascus is starting, just from being handled, it's starting to sort of, the acid in my fingers is just starting to etch it. I should really acid etch it, but as soon as there's the slightest bit of damp or anything, this thing just goes rusty so fast. And I'm not really that good at looking after rusty knives. They get on my tits. I think the big problem is, because it's Damascus and you want to show off the Damascus, you can't really sort of, there's a lot of people rub mustard on them to build up a patina, but I don't really want a patina on this because you want to be able to see the Damascus. So I'm not actually sure what to do, other than spraying it with lacquer or something, or just keeping it oiled all of the time. But obviously I don't want to use WD-40, I want to use something food safe, so just rubbing cooking oil on it, or lard or dripping or something that should protect it. But yeah, anyway, that's why I've gone for stainless. There you go.
Please listen carefully.